18's conclusion is in the middle. Are we okay with that? However, this conclusion is wrong. 15th century painters did not have a greater mastery of painting. Why didn't they have a greater mastery of painting? For, there's our premise indicator, the degree to which painting is planimetric, anyone know? I'm not familiar with that. Is irrelevant to the painter's mastery. Okay, so this thing is irrelevant. It doesn't have any bearing on whether you're a better painter or not. Does that mean that 15th century European painters did not have a greater mastery of painting? What does this mean?
That even if you agree that it's irrelevant, it doesn't really have a bearing on whether they have a greater mastery. There could be other reasons why they have a greater mastery.
Yeah, there could be other reasons, right? Basically what you're saying is someone made an argument that said they're greater, they're better. And we said, well, the evidence you used is irrelevant, therefore they're not greater. They still might be greater, just for other reasons. Yep. So basically what this guy did is he got rid of the evidence that the person was using and then concluded the opposite of whatever that guy was arguing. You guys okay with that? Who is debating this one? Ben, you're cool with that?
Mm-hmm.
So, which answers were we debating here? C?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, how many people are debating C? Any others? All right, let's talk about C. Takes a necessary condition for an argument's being inadequate to be a sufficient condition for an argument's being inadequate. Whoa, 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 whoa. Takes a necessary condition for an argument's being inadequate. What's the necessary condition for an argument's being inadequate? A necessary condition is the then clause in an if-then statement, right?
Yeah.
15th century painters had a greater mastery than 16th century painters.
Wait, 15th century European painters had a greater mastery?
Yeah.
That's a necessary condition for an argument's being inadequate?
No.
No.
For an argument to be inadequate, what is a necessary condition?
Premises don't prove the conclusion.
Okay, the premises don't prove the conclusion, right? Takes a necessary condition for an argument's being inadequate to be a sufficient condition for an argument's being inadequate. If the idea that the premises don't prove the conclusion or are irrelevant, right,
Mm-hmm.
and thus don't prove the conclusion, is a necessary condition for an argument to be inadequate, it turns out that's also a sufficient condition for making that argument inadequate.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Like that.
Yeah.
That's something that's both necessary and sufficient.
Yeah. Yeah.
So,
I guess
if this is even happening, that's not a problem.
I guess that the reason why it was tempting was not really the necessary and sufficient, but so much more that
It talked about arguments inadequate.
I saw that the argument was inadequate. I saw that the premises weren't supporting the conclusion, so I'm just like, yeah, let's do it.
Did you read D&E?
Huh?
Did you read?
I don't think. I definitely read D because I crossed it out. No, I think I was stuck.
You're
with
like,
C.
oh, and D's wrong, so I'm out of here. Poor timing, Ben.
Right.
You don't got time for that 2-sentence answer, do you? Okay.
No, I definitely read E because I left it blank.
Oh, you left it
Yeah.
blank. Okay, got
Yeah.
it. Yeah. Well, so here's the thing. Answer choice C is describing something that happens when you have what in the argument?
An if-then statement.
An if-then statement or a
Yeah.
hidden if-then statement, but more importantly, a false contrapositive, right?
Mm-hmm.
So if you don't see a false contrapositive in the original argument,
Okay.
this answer choice will appear very frequently
Yeah.
as a wrong answer.
Okay.
Yeah.
It also frequently appears as the right answer.
Yeah, but then when you have a false contrapositive, right?
Yeah,
And we
yeah.
don't have any false contrapositives going on here, so I'm like, okay, this is... I didn't even read the whole thing. Takes a necessary condition,
Yeah.
I just stopped. I didn't even get to inadequate argument.
Oh man.
So like you're being sucked into the vortex
Yeah.
because
Yeah.
you're like tempted. You're like, oh, okay, sure, let's talk.
Yeah.
And yeah, are we cool with that?
Mm-hmm.
I have a question.
Yeah.
So the necessary condition for this argument being inadequate is not the degree to which the painting is planimetric is irrelevant to the painter's mastery?
Well, I don't even know if that is a necessary condition for an argument to be inadequate. It's just one way of an argument for an argument to be inadequate. The evidence is irrelevant. You could have relevant evidence that's not good enough, and then that would still be an inadequate argument. So saying that the evidence is irrelevant is a necessary condition for an argument to be inadequate.
I was thinking that
they never said that.
saying for an argument was basically this argument. Like not generally.
Okay, fine, that's fine. Let's talk about it for this argument. Does this argument ever say anywhere that when evidence is irrelevant, that is a necessary condition for this argument to be inadequate? Like you're reading between the lines and trying to think that the person must be thinking this.
They were saying necessary, like in not like the conditional logic sense, but like, you know, like just because, you know, the degree.
Oh, because they're making this argument, they must think that it's necessary. Yeah, even then, I don't think you have.
Basically, like this conclusion doesn't follow automatically from the condition that the degree to which a painting is planimetric is irrelevant to the painter's mastery. So I was also confused. I was like, well, are we talking about like the conditional concept or conditional reasoning concept, or are they just saying?
I think.
Does that make sense? I don't know.
Yeah, but I think to make your life easier, just remember this: if there's not a false contrapositive going on in the original argument, this answer choice. This type of answer choice is not going to be right. Yeah?
Why is A wrong? It's
Rejects
so similar to E.
Sure. Rejects a position merely because the proponent of the position has other objectionable views. What are
That
the
they
other...
think that the planes have any bearing on mastery.
Other objectionable views? Different ones? This would be like, this person also thinks that the world is flat, so this argument's wrong.
I was thinking that objectionable view was that they think that planimetric means you're
Is relevant?
right.
That is the objectionable view, so it wouldn't be the
Okay.
other objectionable views. So it's really that word other. Alright. Yes?
Assuming we're moving on from this one, would you possibly take over 17 as well?